Hey, fuckers out there in Never Neverland. Hey, Jason, I got a question for you.
I might have an answer.
Are you excited?
Always.
You
what?
want us to pause so you can go rub one out?
Click.
And that's how, if you're easily offended, fuck off.
We got that part out of the way. So
Yep.
There you have it in a nutshell. This is the Bunny Rabbit's Hole. What we do here is we talk about shit.
Yep.
And then we talk about other shit, and then we come back to the original shit because that's what the shit was on the title of the episode. So.
Right. And yeah, normally we do research, but there is absolutely no research involved in this episode whatsoever.
We're actually going to do the research during the episode.
Right.
So I'm going to do something I should have done a little bit ago, and that is silence my phone.
I just did that a few minutes ago.
Anyway. All right, welcome to the Bunny Rabbit's Hole. I am one half of the hole. My name is Jason.
My name is Craig.
And today we are going to it's going to be an episode all about holes.
Right.
Eventually. Because we are going to do an experiment, if you will. And this is Craig's idea of an experiment. So I'm going to let Craig explain what the experiment is.
Okay, so what we are going to do is, neither one of us has done, like I said earlier, neither one of us has done any research, but what we're going to do is we are going to use trusty Google Assistant here. You better not open up one, I'll throw you across the room. And then we are going to each, when it's our turn, like say it's my turn, I will Google a weird headline, find it, read that headline to Jason, and Jason will try to figure out and tell me what that story is about while I'm reading the story, and then I can confirm or deny it at the end of it. And then we'll just take turns.
I like it.
All right.
I like it.
You want to start, or you want me to?
You know what? I have one all queued up here.
All right.
It's a quick one to get us just started.
Okay.
And this title isn't too obscure, so this is a good one to get us started on what we're doing here. And the title is Spanish Man Builds 60-Foot Spaceship to Visit Planet from His Novels.
Huh. From his novels?
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a Spanish science fiction author, I'm going to assume.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know many of them, so I'm not going to try to guess who it is.
It's not my genre either.
So my guess would be that this gentleman has created this entire world in his novels or in his, because like when you write novels, fantasy and science fiction, you have to create the world that you are putting your characters into. Mm-hmm. So he's fleshed this thing out so much in his head that it is taking over and he's lost a little bit of touch of reality. And so he's building his own spaceship so he can get to this galaxy that he created.
Yes. That's pretty close.
Wahoo!
That's pretty close. So, according to the Huffington Post, Spain's own Lucio Ballesteros built a 60-foot, 2,600-pound spaceship. Basically, it's a rocket in his backyard. Said the craft isn't quite ready yet for its maiden voyage because the key principal pieces of technology just aren't invented yet. But it gets better because Ballesteros states that the top space travel destination that is a planet called 10/7. Never heard of it? That's because Ballesteros is a novelist and made it up in his own books. So he plans on going to an imaginary world that he created himself, just like you were kind of saying. But he built a very real missile in his backyard.
Whoa. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, let's put that in perspective. It's similar to like the Tom Hanks movie about D&D.
Right.
You get so wrapped up into these worlds that you're creating that you kind of lose touch with reality and you go to it. But it's just, we all know the difference between what's real and what's fake.
Yes. We should.
We should, yes. Unfortunately, we live in the age where people try to dispute facts and come up with alternative facts. But the reality is, even those people know what's real and what's fake. They just don't have the guts to admit it.
Yeah, and even in the Tom Hanks movie, was it Mazes and Monsters?
Yeah.
Was so ludicrous. I mean, even in the movie, it was so dumb that Tom Hanks's character couldn't differentiate the fact that he was not living in a fantasy realm where everybody is like. The first clue would be nobody's carrying a fucking sword, jackass.
Yeah. There are cars here. There's electricity. There is all this other shit. What's that ringing? Is that a phone? Didn't have those in your D&D world.
Right.
All right, you ready?
I am.
New York woman finds empty apartment behind bathroom mirror.
Okay, I have to stop you because I already read this one. I read this one this morning, but let's talk about it for a minute.
Okay, I haven't read it yet because I was waiting for you to.
Okay, I did early this morning. I was scrolling through my phone, and this story came up where lady pulls her bathroom vanity out and sees that there's this whole other room and stuff that was on the other side of the wall that she had no idea was there. Now, in New York City, where people are cramped for space, when all of a sudden you have this additional apartment on the other side of your bathroom window or mirror. Well, but I will say when I first read it, it gave me like this Beyond the Looking Glass, Alice in Wonderland type of feel. Like on the other side of the mirror was this whole other world. That was kind of the feeling that I got from it.
Well, this is the eerie part because I mean this isn't an entire apartment. It's not just a room.
Right.
And she made sure that the door to that apartment was locked, but so before she went back to her apartment, but wouldn't you open the door to find out where the door's located?
Uh-huh.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Because she found a water bottle in this apartment and a bunch of trash bags. So somebody's been in it. And so it's just kind of like you could have some fucking serial killer, some serial rapist, or somebody like that living in that place, and they got easy access. You just have to slide your vanity out while you're sleeping and climb in.
And so that's the part that I was just about to touch on was the security involved in this. I mean, you're a couple of screws away from having an intruder in your house.
Yeah.
I mean, you just pull down the bathroom mirror, and goddamn, you're in each other's apartment.
Right. I gotta find where this is. Oh my god, this is hilarious. Give me a minute, and I'll give you a better one.
Okay.
I just have to get the article to load. Let's see, where is it? Oh, it doesn't actually have the article. Never mind. Can't use that one. Shit. It was hubby's bad breath kills his wife. And what year was that? 1966, I think. All right. Let me go back and see if what I can find, because you obviously went to the first website that I'd used, so I have to find a new one.
I read that on a news app this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't do anything from Fox News. I'm sorry. All right. Going to this. Huh. Ooh. 11 home arsons baffled investigators. Then they realized the victims had an enemy in common.
Ooh. Okay, so I'm guessing was this in America?
I am getting to it right now. Yeah, it's in America.
Okay, perfect. Because then my story flushes out. All right. There was a bake sale at a middle school held by the PTA. Now, Stephanie always brought the blueberry muffins, and they're legendary blueberry muffins. But Tiffany, she brought the blueberry muffins with the crumbles on them. And nobody wanted Stephanie's muffins anymore. Stephanie took offense. So there was 11 other people in this dozen that ran the PTA. Stephanie had the final word. She burned all of their homes down.
Yeah, you forgot to mention that she commissioned Gordon Ramsay to make those muffins.
Right.
All right, so actually what it is, a former Maryland police chief this was actually from March 4th, so like 3 days ago.
Nice.
I'm just going to read the article because I was listening to you so I didn't read the article. A former Maryland police chief is facing multiple arson and attempted murder charges in connection with 11 fires spanning from 2011 to 2020, according to a news release from Prince George County Fire, blah, blah, blah. Authorities determined the homes and vehicles that were set on fire were all connected with people of whom David M. Crawford had disagreements, according to the release. Crawford, who was 69, was arrested Wednesday. He had last served in law enforcement in 2010 when he resigned as a police chief in Laurel, city between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. The first of the arsons was set the following year. The targeted people were two of Crawford's relatives, two of his former physicians, a neighbor, a Laurel city official, and 3 former law enforcement officials, including another former Laurel police chief, the release said. Multiple fires months apart were reported at 2 of the homes. The 11 fires took place in 4 Maryland counties. It doesn't matter where. In each case, surveillance video was discovered. The arsonist's identity was hidden. He's a cop. Of course he hid his identity.
Right.
The arsonist had a pattern of using gallon gasoline jugs and a stick wrapped in cloth to set the fires. They were all set at night, and a silver sedan was noticed near the scene. The break in the case came from after the last known fire in November of 2020, when investigators discovered all the victims had been in disagreements with Crawford. The attempted murder charges stemmed from the fact that several cases there were clear signs that the families were inside their homes at the time Crawford set the fires. So, don't fuck with the po-po.
Right.
His own family members.
God damn. So now this actually is kind of funny. Funny peculiar, not funny haha.
Right.
Because this is a trend now that people who are civil servants, firemen, policemen, are some of the most prolific serial arsonists in history. The most one of the most famous serial arsonists was a guy named John Leonard Orr. He was a fire chief and a fire marshal and fire inspector, chief fire investigator, and he set fires all up and down the West Coast. And he was he actually taught classes to other firemen on how to look for accelerants, how he taught people these things, and he was out setting fires after the classes. But one of the things that he used was he would take it was a lit cigarette and a book of matches, and then he would put them in places like Pottery Barn and put it in places where this thing will eventually light and then burn away where after the blaze took off. But he was doing it in department stores and restaurants and homes. But it's weird that there was another,
Well, and the interesting thing is, you notice how he didn't do it until after he retired and got his pension.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
So, I mean, this just goes to show you, because we talk about stupid people a lot. This guy obviously, he obviously wasn't stupid because he covered his tracks really good. The only thing that he didn't think of was the fact that they could tie all the people had something in common being him. But honestly, it's somebody you wouldn't look at right away.
Right. See, the difference between this guy and John Leonard Orr was Orr just did it randomly, and he didn't actually go after people that could finger him for doing it.
Right.
No, he got caught because there's always a link in serial murder, serial arsonists, serial burglaries or whatever. There's always a pattern, and this pattern happened to be he happened to be the person that was teaching at these conferences where a lot of the fires took place. So it's like, every time all these firefighters are in town, something catches on fire. That's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that is weird. All right,
now
your turn.
you get in arguments with this guy and you burnt your house down.
Yep.
A lot like Stephanie, I'm telling you.
Yep.
It's because Tiffany used a box mix. Tiffany made hers from scratch.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, enough about them. Nobody cares. Okay. This is one I think is great. Oops. Ignore that email invitation to a Cookie Monster cat party, U.S. Embassy says.
Cookie Monster cat party?
Yes. I'll read it again.
Oh, go ahead.
Oops. Ignore that email invitation to a Cookie Monster cat party, U.S. Embassy says.
Okay, so what it is there's all these cat ladies, and they're all big Sesame Street fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can never have kids, but they got all their cats hooked on Sesame Street. They're every day they all sit down and watch Sesame Street, and they went so far as to create their own friend group on Facebook of cat lovers that love Cookie Monster, because that was all their favorite characters, because the cats could relate to Cookie Monsters because they eat shit just like that fucker does. And
Cookie.
So what happened is Lori, she was going to hold the party because they do this annually. This is an annual shindig.
Okay.
She was going to hold the party, and her cat got into some rat poison she had left out because the cat's not a good mouser.
Mm.
So she had put some rat poison out because she had mice, and the cat was like, I thought it was catnip. Ate it, croaks. And since she doesn't have a cat anymore, she can no longer host the shindig. That's it.
That's actually a lot better than what the real story is. Because what actually happened was the U.S. Embassy in Australia accidentally sent out an invitation to such a party to everybody in its database. And what they were doing was they put in a new event management system, and they were testing it, and the intern typed in Cookie Monster Cat Party, and when they hit send, it sent it out to 200,000 people in their entire database. Dignitaries, presidents, world leaders.
That's hilarious. Oh, a Cookie Monster cat party.
Yeah.
All right, I will give you a goddamn email address. Hold on, I have to give this place an email address so I can read the article.
Oh, okay.
Which one do I want to give them? One I hardly ever use. All right, there's this one's interesting. Are you ready for the headline?
Absolutely.
Rooster with blade ties to its leg kills owner during banned cockfight.
Wait, read it again.
Rooster with blade tied to its leg kills owner during banned cockfight.
First, we're going to call it karma. But so
Right.
Bruce, who grew up idolizing the deep-seated underworld of New Orleans cockfighting, decided he was going to throw his head in the ring, throw his cock in the ring, if you will. But what ended up happening was he underestimated Leghorn, his newly found beast of a cock, that when he tied, because I don't know if you know anything about cockfighting, but they do tie little blades to their feet where their back claws would be so that they can harm their opponent more, that Leghorn was more of a revolutionary. And he was like, this is Animal Farm, motherfucker. And he became sentient and started to speak. And as poor Bruce was trying to escape, Leghorn turned and took his chance and timed it just right. With a glancing blow to his jugular, Bruce's neck was slit. Bruce died. And Leghorn covered his tracks with a little bit of ammonia and staged the scene so it didn't look like it was the rooster, but apparently he doesn't know anything about DNA.
Right. You're very close. This happened in Hyderabad, India.
Is it India, not Louisiana?
Yep. The rooster with a 3-inch knife tied to its leg. So the owner ties this to his leg. And this happened before the cockfight actually started. So he ties it to the leg, he picks the rooster up, and it slashed him in this 45-year-old man named Pangula Satish. The knife slashed him in the groin when the rooster was fiddling about, panic because it doesn't like to be held.
Right.
And then during the cockfight itself, the dude bleeds out and dies.
Like I said, it should have just been called karma.
Right. But yeah, because cockfighting's illegal, but in the southern states of India, it's very popular.
Yes, it's one of those things where it's really rampant in the South.
Yeah.
Too. So that's actually, good for that rooster.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was images that were trending on social media afterwards of the chicken in the police station with a blade tied to its back, to its leg, eating grain off the floor.
Nice. Okay. Are you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. French woman ruled dead in 2017 fights to be declared alive.
All right. I'm trying to think of Sophia LeBlue. She didn't like her husband and couldn't afford a divorce attorney, so she faked her own death, and then so she's been in hiding for 3 years. And the guy that she divorced to get faked her death to get away from had a heart attack and died. So now she's like, oh, I can come back among the living and get all of his shit. And so again, this one should be titled Karma too. But she's fighting. So she comes forward and say, hey, I'm still alive. They're like, nope, you're dead. But no, here's my driver's license. Nope, you're dead. Come on, let me. Nope, you're dead. So now she's fighting to show that she's still alive so she can claim the estate of her now dead husband.
It's actually kind of wrong, but
I like that.
Actually, this is actually kind of wild. Her name is Janine Pouchian, I guess. I don't know. I'm not French. So the 58-year-old lives in constant fear about losing or not daring to leave the house in the village of Saint Joseph. Authorities have seized her car over unpaid debt. She contests, which is at the center of her troubles. She fears the family's furniture will be next. So, her status as deceased as a result of a 2017 Lyon court decision that deemed her dead, even though no death certificate was produced. The decision came to the end of a legal dispute with an employee of her former cleaning company who was seeking compensation after losing her job 20 years ago. So somehow I'll paraphrase the rest of this so I don't have to read it all. It sounds like she went into hiding after this court case and nobody had seen or heard of her. So the courts just deemed her dead. Mm-hmm. And now that they're coming back and repossessing her, taking her shit, she said, no, I'm alive. But the judge went, nah, you're dead.
You're dead.
And so she's fighting, trying to get the judge to do this, but the judge is like, nah. Even when all this is said and done, the judge is still like, nah, you're dead. So They're still coming to take your shit.
Yep. And you can't collect Social Security or anything because you're dead.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. I mean,
How fucked up are we that we live in a society where somebody just declares you're dead and then you're fucked.
yeah.
You can't do anything. You can't get a job because they can't pay you because you're dead.
Hey, you have to work for cash.
Yep. You can't go to the hospital if you're hurt because you don't have any insurance and you're dead. They don't work on dead people.
Right. We can embalm you.
All right. You ready for this one?
Yes.
French bulldog missing from San Lorenzo is found in Mexico.
That's the whole title. That's the whole thing.
Yep.
So this dog, they lived with a bunch of MAGA hat wearing redneck racists. Had to sit there and listen to all their stuff about Mexico and Mexicans for so long that the dog said, "You know what? I don't want to trust other people's opinions about people, so I'm going to go check out their culture for myself."
Right.
The dog jumped on a greyhound, because obviously that's the way the dogs travel, gets to the fence and like, oh, I can get through this. So the dog tunnels under the fence and makes his new life as Pueblo, that the bulldog, and was a burrito salesman for a little bit he had a little cart, now he's got a few of his own he's got his own family down there. He tried to set up his own life, but no, that family went hunting. And they tracked him down. Snowball was not going to hide, even if he was Pueblo now. So they tracked him all the way to Mexico, captured him, and is bringing him back to Jackson, Mississippi.
You're close. So I'm still trying to piece together the story because the reporter who wrote it is just, they're horrible.
Well, that's the weird thing about reading a lot of these, and especially with that last one.
Yeah.
One of the last things that it was said in the article was why she died. Why they said she died. That might be one of the first things you start with.
Yeah, I would have led with that.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and this is why this gets odd to me. So I'm just gonna read bits and pieces of it because I'm not reading the whole thing. Benjamin Gonzalez was mingling among street vendors in Tijuana when he saw Brody, a 4-year-old French bulldog, in a cage. Near the dog were trinkets and other odds and ends for sale. And it was an unusual scene, admits Gonzalez, who was deported after spending 14 years in California and Arizona prisons after he was convicted of killing a man in Oakland.
Hmm.
Why do we need to know that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So he asked the guy what he wanted for it. The guy said $2,000. He's like, that's a lot of money. I think about it. Called his friend, asked him to use it for breeding. He said, yeah. So he went ahead and bought it. I'm trying to figure out how he got it back to the States if he was deported. So he purchased a canine for $1,000 after wheeling and dealing. And that's, and then his family lives in the East Bay, and someone noticed on Facebook another family split to locate a dog that had wandered off in San Lorenzo named Brody. Gonzalez told his family about the dog he had purchased and named it Chapo. Of course he did. My brother said it looks like the dog that's missing from here, Gonzalez said in the call. So he's not, okay, he's still in Tijuana. But the dog was actually bred in Mexico. And one of the things that they do down there when they breed dogs like that is they will tattoo the dog. And it makes it easier for them to identify. And that's how they identified this dog. And basically, he shipped the dog back and the family paid him $1,000 as a reward. And he basically got his money back. And he did a good deed after killing a man and getting deported. Because they're getting included on it too.
So that's all we do to people that come over here and kill people is we just send them back?
Right. Sorry, my son just texted me. He just got to the academy. So I got to reply.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm proud of him. All right.
But I'm still baffled by the you know.
I mean, I don't know how far San Lorenzo is. Well, they said it's a couple hundred miles from Tijuana.
Okay,
So this dog traveled a couple hundred miles.
which is pretty remarkable.
Did it, and it's a French bulldog. So it's not a big dog. It's a little dog.
Hmm. And they have breathing problems, so that's quite a feat for a dog like that.
I'm gonna go out and say the dog was probably stolen and sold to that guy in Mexico.
I think so too. Then they realized they had a tattoo. And then they, shit.
Yeah, we gotta sell it. Get rid of it. Yeah. So I think I yeah, that dog did not walk a couple hundred miles. It would not have lived. It would have been eaten by coyotes. It would have been eaten by
Right.
a mountain lion. So many other things. It was stolen, transferred to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. Father and son accused of selling body parts infected with HIV.
Hmm. So Jim and Jim Jr. They're from Ohio
Mm-hmm.
because obviously they're either going to be from Ohio or Florida. So Jim and Jim Jr. decided a couple years ago, hey, let's get it. We need to make some money, some fast cash. I heard you can like sell your testicles for 30 grand online. Well, if they're gonna pay 30 grand for testicles, what are they gonna pay for everything else? So they started a lucrative business of grave robbing the freshly dead,
Mm-hmm.
cutting them up. But then they started noticing they were being followed. So then they had to stop for a while. And after they stopped, Jim Jr. got a job as a security guard at a local hospital.
Mm.
So now what they would do was they would get like these John Does or Jane Does in there that were normally homeless people that nobody's going to claim. And they worked out a deal with the head of the hospital because he didn't want to spend the money to get rid of the bodies. That any bodies like that they found, they could just take. But see, they were good. Snitches get stitches. They didn't rat the guy out. So they took those bodies and chopped them up and sold the body parts. They didn't know they were HIV infected, but they obviously didn't care either.
Right.
And there you go.
So I think the remarkable part about your story is the fact that you knew this was a senior and a junior. But
really?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It was Donald Green Sr. and Donald Green Jr.
Oh, Jesus.
So, and the geography was just one state over from, or two states over from Ohio. It was in Illinois. But so what happened was the family duo worked with the Biological Resource Center of Rosemont, Illinois, which provided human remains donated to science to medical professionals for a fee. So what our geniuses here were doing were dismembering these cadavers and then selling the parts on the black market. Now, okay, first of all, I need to know, I have to know something. How do you just stumble upon a black market and a clientele for body parts?
I know. Were they in Ohio?
They were in Illinois. Or the people buying, they were selling them to people all over the world.
No, I was talking about the people that did it.
Yeah, they're in Illinois. So, but here's one part of this whole story so some of the cadavers actually were infected with HIV, hepatitis, sepsis, were some of the conditions that some of these corpses were in.
Oh,
Now, here's the part that I find alarming. It is not illegal to dismember and sell body parts. It is against the law to knowingly sell human remains that test positive for infectious disease. So they're not in trouble for selling human flesh, but or dismembering, or people who murder and then cut up a body always get charged with desecration to a corpse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why these guys weren't convicted or weren't, hit with that too. But no, apparently, if they come out of a biological resource center, it's not illegal to cut them up and sell them, but it is illegal to sell ones that are infected.
Yeah.
So that's what they're getting in trouble for. Not that they were selling body parts, that they were stealing from, hey, I'm going to donate my body to science. Hey, what do you, and then your ghost is sitting over top and watching them cut you up and send you UPS all over the world.
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
California doctor appears in court video call while performing surgery.
All right. Dr. John Stevens.
Where are they at?
I'm going to say this has got to be a California thing. So he has 3 ex-wives, and he's paying out through the nose to all 3 of them in alimony payments. Now he's got 4 kids that he's also paying out child support to. So 8 out of every $10 that he makes is going out the door. Now he's getting into a rough patch, and he's trying to fix all this by going through a bankruptcy. However, because of the nature of our world right now, he couldn't actually go into the court itself, so he had to do it via Zoom. Well, because he's doing via Zoom and he has to work so many hours to keep up the money that's coming in, that's going out to his 3 ex-wives and his 4 children, that he had to operate while waiting in line for his bankruptcy hearing.
You were close. Very close. It was obviously California. Can you tell me what kind of doctor he was and what kind of surgery it was?
I'm going to say plastic.
Yep. Yep. He was a plastic surgeon. His name was Dr. Scott Green.
Okay.
And it was actually traffic court.
Oh, okay.
He was disputing a ticket, and he wanted more money, so he just did the Zoom meeting while he was doing plastic surgery. And at one point during the judge said, "Are you in the operating room?" Well, yeah. Are you actually performing surgery? And he's like, well, yeah. And then Jenny, his patient, said, "I'm fine with that," with her mouth that was now attached to her elbow. I made that part up. Actually, I stole that from a podcast Heather and I listened to yesterday. But
nice. I'm fine with that. I guess you can vacuum fat and wait in line to.
Right.
No, those don't have good headlines.
No.
Funny stories, but no headlines.
Yeah, those are. And see, this is where the dilemma comes in, folks, is finding the right shit to think you get slapped. Ooh, funny breaking news today. Let's see, 2021 funny headlines, Reader's Digest. And it doesn't want to load. Does not want to load.
That's the one that didn't really have great headlines.
Okay.
I'll get some funny stories, but.
Right.
Okay, here's one for you, being an artist.
Okay.
Okay. The Scream, which is a famous painting that everybody knows, has a hidden message in it, and experts just figured out who wrote it.
Let's see, the Scream was made, but that message could have been put in there anytime afterwards. So I'm going to say that Hitler, because he stole a lot of artwork, during that time, before World War II and during World War II. So when he got into France, he got the Scream, stole it, wrote a note in it, says, "If I don't take over the world, please let everyone know that aliens are real and I am one of them." And then now these scientists found by having an actual artist come in to examine the work instead of art critics, because art critics don't know shit about art. Comes in and goes, "Hey, there's something weird up there, and that's kind of peeling back." So he kind of peels it back a little bit. "Hey, there's a message here written in German. Can anybody speak German?" And they got this other dude named Hans to come up. He's like, "Oh, I'm from Austria, but I might be able to read it." So he reads it and goes, "Oh shit, aliens are real. And Hitler was one of them. And this was written by Hitler. It's signed the same way he signed Mein Kampf."
Nice. The same way he gave Indiana Jones a autograph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's some points in your version that are actually correct, because you pointed to the top left corner.
Oh, cool.
Is where the actual thing, and it isn't in non-English, but at this time it's actually Norwegian. And the message actually reads, "Could only have been painted by a madman," is what it says. Now, they noticed it, 117 years ago. The painting was by Edward Munich,
right?
And everybody knows it.
Yep.
That was even recreated in with a child in Home Alone.
Yeah, it's been recreated thousands of times.
So everybody knows it, but the curator of the National Museum of Norway, where the painting is housed, actually, it says, without a doubt, Munich wrote it himself. So it was not added.
I believe that.
After the painting, which it was added after the painting was done, but around the same time the painting was done.
Right. And, as an artist, we are our own worst critics.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some research done that showed that Munich was a bit of a madman, that he struggled with sanity issues and depression and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
As many artists do, because we suffer from imposter syndrome. Check out our episode on imposter syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's very difficult to interpret the painting. Conservator of the National Museum of Norway says, through a microscope, you can clearly see the pencil lines are on top of the paint now which had been applied after the painting was finished.
Right.
And that's the part that got people wondering who had wrote that for so many years, because it's not actually part of the painting. It's
right.
on the painting.
Right, and it's an oil painting, so it's probably done about a month after it was finished, because it takes that fucking long to dry, especially back then. But yeah, and he would know how to write it in a way that would blend in with all the swirls and shit in his own backgrounds. So that makes sense. All right, are you ready?
I am.
Whoops! Attempt to deliver a new 4200 fridge goes wrong in a hurry.
Whoops, and fridge. So delivery, whoops, and fridge are three words that should never go together in any language. But in a lot of states, including, I'm going to say this happened in Texas, people, you can't buy a home without certain appliances. Some states you can't buy a home that doesn't, it's not declared a home unless there's a stove. Others are fridge. And I'm guessing that Texas is one without a fridge. So these happy homeowners, first-time homeowners, the Smiths, Blake and Betty, were going to purchase they're on the way to purchase their dream home, but on the way to get their closing, or on the way to the closing,
right,
they realize there's no fridge and they can't close. So they call up Home Depot, and the only fridge that they had in stock that was available to be delivered that day was this 4200 model. So they were having them deliver it, but unbeknownst to them, unbeknownst to the driver, Frank, who was about to take this fridge to their house, loses control. His brakes give out, and that refrigerator that's in the back of this thing snaps off when the brakes fail, and the fridge tumbles into the home. killing the real estate agent who and the homeowner that have to sign off at the closing so that they can actually take ownership of this new home.
You're not close.
Is there at least one death?
No.
Okay.
So it happened in Ohio.
Okay. Really four places that happen. You know, you mentioned the first two, and the other two are California and Texas.
Can you name what brand of refrigerator it was?
You said
$4,200. So.
Oh, $4,200, not model 4,200. I'm gonna say Kenmore.
LG.
LG.
So what happened was, and this is because I watched the video of it. Well, that's what I kept having to try to mute. It kept going on. So Chad Jones of Telemag, Ohio, told ABC station, you know, I ordered this fridge, and they pulled up and they came and knocked on the door after a while, and they gave us the fridge, but the fridge was damaged, and we're like, hey, this fridge is fucked up. You know, it ain't gonna work. You know, and like, well, that's a manufacturer's defect, so you have to get a hold of them. And then he's like, well, no, because you see this screen right here? I just watched you guys drop it in the fucking driveway on my security cam, moron. He's like, luckily we kept our old fridge and we're waiting for a replacement. And hopefully it's delivered by different people.
Oh, that's funny.
Like, how do you sit there? It was those, I mean, part of it was still in the fucking driveway.
See, you can get away with that if you did it at the store,
right?
You know. So I love a lot of these. There's one good thing about our surveillance society that we have today is we're getting a lot of dash cam footage. That's just great. Mm-hmm. But there was this one. It was in Russia, and what happened was there was two guys that had a scooter and a spotter. So the guy jumps on a scooter and then pulls out in front of a car at a stoplight, throws it in reverse, slams into the thing, and then jumps on the woman's hood. The spotter comes out of nowhere. It's like, I saw the whole thing. And the lady by this time is out of her car. I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? And the dude's yelling, I saw the whole thing. I saw you hit him. I saw him. It's like, and she goes, yeah, you know what? Saw my dash cam. Mm-hmm. So next thing you know, the dude jumps off the hood, jumps on the scooter. The other guy jumps on the scooter, and they take off. So that is one fun thing about our surveillance society is you're seeing shit like this now.
Right. And, and like, I heard this on the radio, like last week in Florida, a security camera caught footage of an alien. Which, we've talked about aliens a lot, but what happened was this alien walks up to their door and steals their Amazon package and leaves. So we now know who are stealing packages. It's the fucking aliens, or somebody dressed in an alien costume because they knew they had a security cam and just wanted to steal the Amazon package.
Wow.
Chances are he'd stolen from them before, got caught, and this time like, I'm going to wear a disguise because it happened in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! I'm trying to remember the guy's name. It doesn't matter. You go find this. He creates these things on YouTube. These special, but he did one for the porch pirates, the glitter bomb.
Mm-hmm.
One. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I watched that. That was awesome. All right, what you got for me?
All right, one more here. Okay, a pack of blue dogs was found roaming near a shuttered chemical plant in Russia.
Well, obviously it's Chernobyl. It's shuttered. Shuttered, that means shut down, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's Chernobyl. Mm-hmm. And these dogs have actually been there since the 80s when Chernobyl imploded. And they now have mutant powers. but it's turned their skin, it turned their fur blue and their skin too. And like if you shave that dog, it's all blue. Its blood is blue. Its organs are blue. Everything about it's blue. It's got blue eyes, blue tongue, blue teeth, blue nails, and they are actually plotting to overthrow the world. But they needed to be caught first, so that way they can learn more about the internal workings of, society, so they can further their plan in dominating the world.
I for one would be scared shitless of seeing a blue dog, because one, I would think, God damn, am I having flashbacks?
Right? How strong was that shit I hit?
Exactly. So what? So the plant had been closed for 6 months, or 6 years rather. But if, like in Russia, like here in a lot of places, abandoned buildings aren't really the most secure places.
Right.
So these dogs were, they're just a vagrant, homeless, just wild feral dogs, right?
Right.
But what they think was they actually rolled in some copper sulfite, which was an ingredient that they used to do in the plant. They manufactured plexiglass. And it was an ingredient in plexiglass. And they think the dogs had rolled in that, which would give them a blue tint.
Mm-hmm.
And but they were talked to about trying to capture the dogs and then clean them, but the amount of them and the cost to the town would actually be similar to the cost of cleaning up the chemical plant.
Okay.
So they're just letting the dogs be blue.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's unique. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles man reunites with cat who vanished 15 years ago.
Wait, 15?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the guy would have had to have the cat as a kitten. Now the cat is a cat. So in those 15 years, what had happened was the man was tinkering with things that he found in the woods, alien things. And he was messing around with this, and what happened was he didn't understand, and it kicked on. It looked like a microwave, but it kicked on. It created this huge bubble of just this glowing orb of blue lightning and white light. And the fur monster, because cats are curious, went up to it, boom, gone. Now, our hero in this thing thought that he had actually disintegrated the cat. So he spends the next 15 years trying to figure out the key to interdimensional travel. And when he finally, after 15 years, has another breakthrough, he finally gets that orb to open back up again. And out comes the cat. But now the cat is wiser, is smarter, and it speaks in his alien tongue that is teaching our hero so they can communicate in a common language. He tried to teach it English, but it just wasn't receptive because its vocal cords can't actually speed out our language. But now with this, I'm going to call it Rigelian language that they can communicate now, and the cat, is actually teaching him the history of the ancient aliens theories and how the pyramids were built and how we were slaves to the Anunnaki, and all these, the secrets of the universe are being taught to him by this cat that's been gone for the last 15 years.
You are very, very close.
Nice.
He did get her as a kitten. Okay. And that's it. He got her as a kitten. How fucking long do cats live?
Not 15 years. No, some do, but...
Well, And so he had her as a kitten. He let her out in the backyard, you know, and then when it was starting to get dark out, he went out to get her, and she was gone.
Hmm.
Because it's a fucking kitten. You don't leave it outside by itself if you want to
Right.
keep it, dumbass. So the cat went feral for a bit. Somebody had obviously taken her in because but somebody taken her in, kept her fed. But he said, like, when they found her, and it was that cat because it had the same microchip that was implanted in it when it was adopted.
Okay.
Because I was gonna call bullshit on all this until I read that part. He's like, I picked her up and she just immediately started purring. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then he started crying. It's a fucking cat. You had it as a kitten. You made no attachment to it. It was gone within 2 days.
Right.
Quit being a pussy. Man up. And I mean, it's a cat. Cats suck. I don't care who. I'm pissing off the part of our audience we have yet to piss off. Cats suck.
So I saw a great meme the other day about cats. It says, the world isn't flat because cats would have knocked everything off it by now.
Right. That's very true.
Okay. Now, there was a story of a kid named Nicholas Barclay that vanished. Okay. And then I'm trying to find the amount of time it was. It was just a couple of years. It was 7 years. Okay. Even though it's 7 years older, or 7 years later, the boy shows up, and the family takes him in. They noticed a few quirks about him that didn't seem right, but they admitted that it was probably him. They talked to themselves that, yeah, this is definitely Nicholas. It turns out it wasn't. It was an imposter pretending to be Nicholas, who was actually 3 or 4 years older than what the boy would have been. But
did they make a movie off this?
Yeah, it was called The Imposter.
Okay.
And so what I'm trying to get at is these are the parents of this kid that were fooled by a fake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how easy is it to be fooled by? I barely remember what some of my childhood pets looked like.
Let alone 15 years after.
Yeah. You know.
If you got something as a kitten and lost it as a kitten and it aged 15 years, you would have no idea what the fuck it was going to look like.
Right. Remember the Billy Madison story, the puppy who lost his way?
Yeah.
And now that puppy, society, was now a dog.
Right.
So, and that's why he didn't recognize him, because he lost it as a puppy. Now it's a dog. But right. You're trying to tell me that but if it's microchipped, it's microchipped. You can't, I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Because what happened was the animal shelter that got the cat in, because its paws, obviously it had gone wild for a while because its paws had grown so long, claws had grown so long that it was wounding its own paws. So the animal shelter got they got the information on the microchip. He had moved, so he wasn't at the same address, but he still had the same cell phone number. So they called him. He goes, gets his cat, blah, blah, blah. Emotional reunion for a fucking cat that he spent 2 fucking days with. Yeah. And just when you know, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to find another one here.
All right. Well, I've got another one ready.
Okay, go for it.
Leah Holland's pre-pandemic tattoo wins for worst timing ever.
Pre-pandemic tattoo. So I'm going to guess it's something about it. Okay, she got this tattoo because her friends got together and they created this little group to try to, because America was kind of in a weird turmoil there with the rise of these hate mongers was starting to come up. And so they thought, we're going to combat all this negativity that's in our country, and we're going to start the Hug a Friend Society. And she went out and started promoting this hug. everybody just needs a hug. Just hug a random stranger. Just hug, hug, hug. There's no need to stay apart. Hug everybody. And that's what she said. Love needs no distance is what her tattoo says. It says hug a friend. And right after that, all of a sudden we have social distancing. You have to stay 6 feet apart. And, so her tattoo is all for naught.
You're very close. You actually are close. Same kind of just thing. Leah. She was competing in a TikTok challenge. This is after the fact, so never mind. So she'd been thinking about this self-affirmation tattoo for many, many years. And finally she came up with the idea. And then she came up with the money. She's like, I'm getting it. I'm going to get it. So she goes, gets this tattoo, has it on her arm. She's all proud of it. Then COVID. The age of hiding yourself behind a mask. The age, we're working in a liquor store. You see these people coming in like, am I in the Wild Wild West?
Right.
Her tattoo said, courageously and radically refuse to wear a mask.
Mm.
And she's like, I swear, I'm not an anti-mask person. I promise you. This was before, because, obviously you don't basically show your true colors, be true to who you are. That was the state. She probably would have been much better if she just said, be true to who you are instead of the whole.
Right.
There. But yeah, I'm like, no regrets, right?
Yeah, no regrets. Do you have another one?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Alaska woman attacked by bear while using outhouse.
Jeez. Okay. So I'm going to tell a story to explain her story. Okay. My aunt lives deep in the heart of the wilderness of northern Michigan. She lives up in the middle of, it's a place called Bruce Crossing. Look it up. It's near the Wisconsin border. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. So, she is into kinesiology. She, by all regards, people would call her bohemian or hippie or whatever, even though she's really not. She just has that kind of lifestyle. Well, she decided that she wanted to start composting. It's a good way to get mulch and get nutrients for her garden. So she starts doing this, and unbeknownst to her husband, she was doing this behind their workshop. So, one day the husband gets up and he's about ready to go to work, and there are 3 black bears in the backyard, which not out of the realm of possibilities, or, it's not something that's crazy, but these bears were out there. So he gets out a gun, fires it up in the air, and the bears take off. Then he goes out and goes to work. Wakes up the next morning. The bears are back. He's like, what the fuck are these bears doing in my yard? So he, pulls out the gun, shoots it up in the air, and scares them off, and he goes to work. So he comes out this morning, and he comes home that night. He tells his wife, it's like, or my aunt, and he's like, hey, weird, these bears are out here. It's almost like we're trying to feed them or something. And it all clicked at that moment. My aunt was like, oh shit, I started composting. So that is what this lady had done. But what had ended up happening was, because she was trying to surprise her family with a really good meal, and she didn't want anybody to know what she was doing. And it was this special stew that took several days to make. And you have to cut each ingredient precisely so that everything is the same size, so it cooks evenly. It's a Winterschnockel. It's a German stew. It's a lot like Hassenpfeffer, but less rabbit. Right. So because the family loves it, but it just takes so long to make, she's hiding in the outhouse, and she's dicing the meat, which in this case is a beef tenderloin. And she's cubing this up just so perfectly. But to do this where nobody'd see her, she went outside. And the only building that they had was the outhouse. Now, it sounds disgusting, but the outhouse hadn't been really used as an outhouse for years. And that's when the bear attacked. Because, well, bears love beef tenderloin.
Right. And you, my friend, could not be further from the truth. Anchorage, Alaska. A woman named Shannon Stevens gets up and goes, "Oh, I gotta go potty." So she runs out to the outhouse that she uses all the time.
Okay.
Sits down, flips up the lid because she's got to go, sits down, and immediately feels something bite her ass, and she jumps up, closes the lid, runs out. And then her husband, her brother, and his girlfriends who had been on a snowmobile trek had just gotten back as she's out there tending to her wounds. And like, what the hell happened? She's like, I don't know. Something just bit my ass. I mean, they could see, they're like, okay, maybe it was like a squirrel or a mink or something small. So the brother goes in there he straps a headlamp on because he thinks he's going to have to, like, really peer down in there to find this thing. Opens the lid, looks down, and to see a bear's face staring back at him. Quickly closes the lid, walks back out. And he's like, I didn't know what to do. So they determined it wasn't serious, and she's like, it wasn't bleeding, her ass wasn't, so it can't be that bad. Let's just let the guy go. So they called the Alaska Department of Fish and Game Wildlife, and they think, it's just a black bear. You'll be fine. So they just let the bear live in the shit of the outhouse, and they made a new outhouse. Well, actually, they didn't do that part. I just added it because I didn't want to read the rest of the article.
It's like a shitter. that takes the phrase "shitters full" to a new extreme.
Yeah, most definitely.
Oh, I got one now.
All right.
A pigeon survived an 8,000-mile journey from Oregon to Australia. Authorities plan to kill it.
So, from where to where?
From Oregon, United States, to Australia.
Okay. So, because of the last God knows how many years that this country has been a shithole, and you can dispute me, whatever, but I mean, we've really, really gone downhill, and we need to make that turn. But so, because we're basically destroying our country, and we're trying to figure out a way to take over another country, and Australia is a pretty big continent, So the CIA had got these pigeons, and then they put in these. They put in these like surveillance cameras and stuff in their eyes and stuff. So, but the pigeons can still see, but now they can record what they're seeing, and they put like nanobots and nanotechnology inside the pigeons, and then they cryogenically froze them and timed their thaw period to when they would reach Australia, and then they shipped them to Australia. But when they got there, and the officials in Australia opened up the box to see what the hell was being shipped there, because it wasn't addressed to anybody, all these pigeons flew out except for one that was still frozen. So they take this pigeon because we got to know where this is from.
Right.
So they take it into a biologist who, the only way I can figure it out is by dissecting it. And when he dissects it, they find all the nanotechnology and the surveillance cameras in the eyes and stuff. And then by the serial numbers and shit, they're able to track it back to the U.S. So they have to kill all these pigeons now so they don't get our information.
It's so... Yours is actually more believable than... All right. So they're saying that this bird had flown from the state of Oregon all the way to Melbourne, Australia. Now, At first, you're like, how the fuck would you know that? Now, okay. So they named the bird Joe after Joe Biden, because the Australians have a funny sense of humor like that.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of like your cat story, it's like, how the fuck can you trace a pigeon back to its origin?
Right.
This particular pigeon was actually registered in the Oklahoma-based American Racing Pigeon Union. And the registered owner was that of a man in Montgomery, Alabama. They were it got away when they got away from the cargo ship that they had, which was ported somewhere in Oregon. It didn't say where, but the bird got away from them there, and then it flew and just kept flying because that's a racing pigeon. It's not a homing pigeon. Right. It kept going until where it found the next available landmass, which happened to be Australia.
Yeah, I call bullshit. My story is much more plausible. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I lost the beginning part of that story.
So it's got a chip.
Okay.
Yeah,
no,
is what I'm trying to say. Otherwise, I would call 100% bullshit on that one.
I don't believe it flew all the way to Florida. It might have found.
I believe it probably was on a boat.
Yep.
And it just kept, because like seagulls, when they come into land, they generally they'll cross the oceans by flying around, fishing, then coming back to a vessel that's crossing the sea. They won't swim the whole ocean. They'll sit on a boat and hitch a ride. And I think that's what our pigeon did too.
Right. I'm still looking for a new one. Okay, we're already in Australia. Let's just go with this one. You ready?
Yes.
Koala rescued after causing 5-car pileup on Australian freeway.
Okay.
Originally I thought it said koala arrested after causing 5-car pileup. And it was after I read it that it sunk. No, rescued, not arrested. Okay.
So that's actually a misprint. It actually was arrested because our koala watches the Paw Patrol cartoon, and it saw that dogs can act as policemen. So our koala dresses up with it's a funny story on how it got it got a crossing guard sash, but what happened was it staked out when the kids were about ready to go to school and the crossing guard was there alone. It jumped out and ninja kicked it to the back. That crossing guard falls down. It steals its whistle and its stop sign along with its safety vest, puts it on, runs out to the first major roadway it can find, which is this freeway, and it goes out there and it's going to start directing traffic. Now it's a koala. It's never done it before, but it's like, fuck it, how hard can it be? Jumps out there within seconds, bam, 5-car pileup. And then they slap the cuffs on him, take him away. Because don't fuck with crossing guards.
Right. So you were actually kind of close.
It was a koala.
Right. So this marsupial was trying to cross the road, and this lady saw it, and so she thought she'd try to help us, so she got her coat out and stuff, and her and a friend trapped the koala, tossed it in her trunk, and it's like it was very active but very calm. Yeah, bullshit. Mm-hmm. So once the koala got in her trunk, this bitch drove to the gas station, and while she was driving, the koala got out of the trunk, came into the vehicle.
Nice.
You know what they say about trapped animals? They don't like being trapped, motherfucker.
They like being trapped.
Scared shit out of her. She caused The lady caused 5-car pileup, not the koala.
Right. Let's not blame the furry little syphilis or actually it's chlamydia.
Yeah, the koala was released in a forest well away from the freeway afterwards.
Good.
This bitch though, no, nobody was hurt.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one for you.
Okay.
Cocaine-laden ghost boat washes up in the Marshall Islands.
So, El Chapo had been missing a shipment for a really long time. And before the shipment went missing, he was on the radio with them and he heard gunfire. And he's like, he asked the captain, he's like, what are you shooting at? And he's like, the captain's like, I don't know what they're shooting at. There's no boats or anything out there. And so one of the bullets, then he hears nothing from the captain because one of the bullets, all he heard was because one of the bullets had gone through the window and hit the captain's throat, killing him. And then he was talking to somebody else, but it was weird because they kept cutting in and out, and their voice sounded really strange, like it was going through a tunnel. So El Chapo was like, got a bunch of his friends or got bunch of his crew together and said, hey, guys need to go find that boat. So they went out searching and searching and searching for this boat. They could not find this boat. He's like, do you know how much money I've got in cocaine on that fucking boat? You better get my boat, Putos. So they go out there. They're like, we can't find the boat. Now El Chapo's in jail. Boat shows up on the Marshall Islands. It had been driven by ghosts for probably about 3 to 4 years. And then they decided, they don't like the boat anymore. It's time to cross over. So they abandoned it.
So there's parts of that were consistent. So this boat, it's an 18-foot fiberglass vessel that just washed up ashore, in the Marshall Islands, which is a long ways away from Mexico. So when it showed up there, it had 1,430 pounds of cocaine, marked with the letters KW, which they don't even go on to say who that possibly could have been. But it's not unheard of for abandoned boats to wash up shore. But in January of 2014, Salvadorian fisherman Jose A., I'm not going to even try his last name, washed up on the Marshall Islands more than 13 months after he set off from Mexico's west coast with a companion who died during the voyage. They think it's his boat. That shows up 7 years later.
Oh, wow. So 3 or 4 years, I said. So that's not too far.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know what's crazier?
What?
New Zealand sentences cactus smuggler caught with 947 plants strapped to her body.
What? Okay. Cactus smuggler with 940 some.
47. 947.
On her body.
Strapped to her body. Yeah.
Okay. So, Jeanette was hanging out with her wine buddies because that's all Jeanette drinks. She's an alcoholic, but she only drinks wine. Right. And one night they were reading about weird Guinness Book of World Records. So one was the amount of prickly objects one can conceal on their body, and two was how many plants could one smuggle on an airplane. So she was attempting to get in the Guinness Book of World Records on 2 different things at the same time. Anywhere close?
Huh?
Anywhere close?
Uh,
I'm
Yeah.
saying, I'm guessing no.
so this woman's name is Wen King Lee.
Okay.
I can't pronounce it.
It's
So
that's Korean for Jeanette.
yeah. So Korean Karen. um, she had to plead guilty to violating biosecurity laws after she was caught twice with plants and seeds.
Mm.
So on March 14th, 2019, Karen strapped stockings containing 947 succulents and cacti valued at over $10,000 for body and attempted to bring them into the country.
Mm.
The cacti included 8 endangered and threatened species. She tried to dispose of items in the airport toilets and attract the attention of detector dogs, authorities said. In a separate incident on July 23rd, 2019, Lee was found in possession of 142 seeds hidden in packaged iPod covers in her luggage. She was also carrying plant pods and ornaments, which were found to contain a snail and pieces of tree fern. They were wrapped in moldy wet paper, also a potential source of disease. The island nation has some of the world's, who cares? Basically, yeah, for some reason, people in New Zealand are paying 10 grand per cactus.
Um, have you ever heard of eBay?
Right. Or, hop on a fucking, it'd be cheaper to get a plane ticket to Arizona and walk out in the desert and fucking get one yourself.
Right. But you could have one shipped to you, for just a couple bucks.
Right.
But I guess it's the idea of having this famous Korean Karen to go get them for you as a part of her attempt to get Guinness Book of World Record.
Right.
You know what else is amazing and weird?
What?
It sounds like you got a good one.
Yep.
Okay, let's do your good one, and then we can wrap this up.
This chameleon may be the world's tiniest reptile, but its genitals are huge.
Good for him.
Right? Just a headline. You don't really need anything more.
No, I'm gonna say good for him.
Yep.
Because if the world's saying that you're the smallest and you're big where it counts, that's all that matters.
Yep. He's a happy dude.
Right?
Just strutting around going, much bigger than yours in relation to the size of my body.
See me? You see me?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you froze.
You froze up.
All right. I'm going to say, because we've been doing this for an hour and a half.
Yep.
We can do a part 2 sometime soon.
If anybody wants to see us doing more stuff like this or has other ideas of stuff you'd like to see us do, email us. What's our email, Jason?
It is thebunnyrabbitshole@gmail.com.
Yeah. So basically, to sum up today's episode, we just read headlines to the other person, and they had to guess what actually happened, and then we'd confirm or deny and tell what really happened.
Well, it was fun. It
really was.
It was a lot better than what we were going to do.
Right.
Because there's no information out there for it.
Right. So if anybody has funny ghost or alien encounter stories, email them to us at, what was that again, Jason?
thebunnyrabbitshole@gmail.com.
All right. So with that being said, hey, it was fun. Love you guys. Peace out.
Insert strange headline here.